In the deep ocean, loneliness is not a feeling. It is a law of nature. 1,000 meters down, in water that has never seen light, an animal can drift for weeks, months, perhaps longer, without ever meeting another of its own kind. Food is rare, light is gone, and finding a mate can be so unlikely that evolution built a solution that sounds almost impossible. There is an animal down here where the male does not keep his own body. He is born complete. Eyes, fins, a brain, a stomach, everything an animal needs. Then he finds a female. He bites into her side, and over the next few weeks, his body begins to dissolve into hers. His eyes go first, then his fins. His gut shuts down. His own circulation becomes unnecessary. His skin fuses with her skin until you cannot tell where one animal ends and the other begins. What is left is a small lump of tissue on her body kept alive by her blood, with a single job: make sperm for the rest of her life. And he is not always alone there. A single female has been found carrying 8 of these fused males at once. 8 animals that each found her, bit her, and then stopped being separate creatures at all. He does not exactly die, but he stops being a separate animal. And the creature that does this is one you already know. You've seen it in Finding Nemo. You've seen it in horror films, on the covers of textbooks. You've just never seen what it actually is. This is World Untangled. Today we are untangling the anglerfish, not as a monster, but as one of evolution's strangest answers to a world where the hardest thing to find is another self. Almost everyone has met an anglerfish, not in the ocean, in Finding Nemo. The glowing lure, the gaping jaw, the chase through the dark. The film got the silhouette right. It got almost everything else wrong. Start with the simplest thing it never tells you: that anglerfish is a female. We can tell because she carries the lure. In the deep-sea species, famous for that glowing rod, only females grow one. Males never do. And the difference doesn't end at the lure. In the most extreme species, a female can be more than 60 times the length of her mate. Picture a grown adult beside a hamster, and then picture the hamster as the male of the same species. To understand why 2 animals would be built so differently, you have to understand where they're built to live. Deep-sea anglerfish drift in the Bath Pelagic Zone, the band of water between roughly 1 and 4,000 meters down. By sheer volume, it is the largest living space on the planet and one of the emptiest. The last sunlight died out, hundreds of meters above. The water hangs just above freezing. A meal is a rare event. Another member of your own species is rarer still. This is the problem the whole animal is shaped around. Picture the scale of it. 2 anglerfish, alone, somewhere inside cubic kilometers of black water. The chance they ever cross paths is almost nothing. Evolution had to solve that. And in some of these species, it reached for the most extreme solution found anywhere in the vertebrate world. Division of labor pushed to its breaking point. The female became the anchor, large, enduring, the one who carries the light. The male became the search party, small, mobile, stripped of everything he doesn't need for a single mission. He has no lure, he doesn't hunt. What he has instead is an extraordinary sense of smell. Tuned to a chemical signature, the female leaks into the water, a scent he can follow across the dark. But the first scientists to haul one up found something on the anglerfish's body they couldn't explain. When scientists first hauled these females up in the 1920s, they kept finding smaller fish attached to their bodies. They assumed the little ones were the female's own young, clinging on. It wasn't until a 1924 dissection that Charles Tate Regan realized the truth. The babies were males, fused into the female and reduced to almost nothing. Here's how this process happens. The male bites onto the female, usually on her belly or flank. His teeth lock in. Then the skin of his mouth fuses with her skin, and the boundary between them disappears. His blood vessels grow into hers. Her blood begins keeping him alive, and everything he no longer needs, eyes, fins, gut, shrinks away until he's a lump of tissue carrying one working organ, his testes. But the real mystery isn't that the male fuses, it's that her body lets him. Two animals cannot normally merge. In nearly every vertebrate, including us, the immune system identifies foreign tissue and attacks it within hours. It's why a human organ transplant needs powerful drugs to work at all. A male anglerfish welding himself into a female should trigger exactly that response. In 2020, a team of scientists at the Max Planck Institute discovered why it doesn't. These anglerfish have lost or disabled the core machinery of the adaptive immune system, the same genes that, in other animals, recognize and reject foreign tissue. They didn't just suppress rejection, they lost the ability to do it at all. So the anglerfish solved fusion, the way it solved mating, by giving something up. It abandoned an immune defense nearly every other vertebrate depends on, and in exchange became one of the only vertebrates known to permanently merge two separate bodies into one. And when the female is finally ready to reproduce, she releases her eggs into the open water, and the attached males release their sperm at the same moment. The timing run through the hormones in their shared blood. The male solves the problem of finding a mate. The female has to solve the problem of finding food. In absolute darkness, the female anglerfish hunts with light. But the light isn't hers, she borrows it. That glowing bulb at the end of her lure is called the esker, and what makes it glow isn't the fish at all. It's made by bacteria. A partnership so old, the bacteria have changed beyond recognition. In the last few years, scientists sequenced these symbionts for the first time. They found something extreme. The bacteria have thrown away roughly half their genome. Losing genes a free-living microbe needs to survive on its own. The genetic signature of an organism built to live inside a host. Only a couple of these bacterial lineages are known, and they glow nowhere on Earth except inside an anglerfish's lure, which raises an obvious question. If the bacteria are this dependent, how does each new anglerfish get them? Hatchlings are born without any. The lure itself hasn't even formed yet. For a long time, that looked like a paradox, but it may finally have an answer. When researchers searched the open ocean, they found these exact bacteria drifting in the water at very low levels, surviving outside a host after all, just barely. A young anglerfish appears to pick them up from the sea as its lure develops, somewhere on its long migration down into the dark. What we still can't fully explain is the precision. The ocean is full of bacteria. Out of all of them, the developing fish seeds its lure with the one kind that will glow. And we don't yet know how it recognizes the right species, or what switches the light on once they're inside. The colony shouldn't be easy to assemble. Every adult anglerfish in the deep assembled it anyway. The lure brings prey close. Everything else makes sure it doesn't escape. An anglerfish's jaw can open wider than its own body. Its stomach stretches to hold prey larger than itself. Its teeth are long, thin, and curved inward, so anything that enters the mouth can't back out. This is all one answer to a single fact. Down here, a meal might come once in weeks. The fish can't afford to miss, and it can't afford to be picky. When something investigates the light, it gets one chance. And there's a final piece that ties the whole trap together. The skin of some deep-sea anglerfish and several other deep-sea predators is ultra-black. It absorbs more than 99.95% of the light that hits it, putting it among the darkest materials ever measured, rivaling engineered surfaces like Vantablack. The reason becomes obvious. The moment you remember the lure is glowing. If the rest of the body reflected any of that glow, prey drawn to the light would see the predator behind it, and the whole trick would fall apart. So the body evolved to vanish. Light leaves the lure and travels outward, but almost nothing bounces back off the fish. The prey sees only the glow. It never sees the mouth waiting around it, until it's inside. Here's the strangest thing about the anglerfish. It's one of the most recognizable creatures on the planet. Films, documentaries, games, children's books, and we have almost never seen one alive in its own world. Most of what we know comes from dead specimens dragged up in nets. Is the fusion happening in the wild? We've filmed it exactly once. In 2016, a submersible off the Azores captured the first footage of a living fused pair drifting through the dark. The female lit up, the much smaller male already welded to her side. The fusion long since complete. The recording wasn't shared with the world until 2 years later. And that single clip is the extent of it. Nobody has ever filmed a male finding a female. Nobody has filmed the bite. Nobody has watched a young anglerfish take in its bacteria. There are around 160 known species of deep-sea anglerfish, each one its own evolutionary experiment. We've observed living individuals of maybe a dozen. The rest exist only as preserved bodies in jars. Sometimes a single female, sometimes a single severed lure. That's the gap. The silhouette is famous. The animal itself is almost entirely unobserved. The most famous monster in the sea turns out not to be a monster. It's the strangest answer evolution ever gave to the loneliest problem there is. And we've barely begun to watch it happen. So, what is the anglerfish? It's what evolution builds when it's handed one impossible place and unlimited time. The deep ocean is too dark to see in, too empty to find a mate in, too poor in food to survive in by the rules that govern most animals. Most animals could never live there by ordinary rules. The anglerfish rewrote them. It survived by giving things up. In the species that fuse, the male gave up being a separate animal at all. The body gave up an immune defense that nearly every other vertebrate relies on. The lure gave up making its own light, handing the job to bacteria the fish can't manufacture itself. What it built in return is one of the most ruthlessly efficient hunting and reproduction systems in the ocean. A female who carries up to 8 mates with her, hunts with a living light, and swallows prey larger than herself in a place that should not be able to keep her alive. And she does it for years. The animal everyone pictures, the jaw, the glowing bulb, the teeth, is real. It's just the least interesting part. The fusion, the borrowed light, the deleted immune defenses, that's the actual creature, and almost all of it was discovered in the last few decades. That immune trade-off was only described in 2020. The first wild footage of a fused pair was filmed in 2016. We are still, right now, finding out what this animal is. So tell us in the comments, knowing what you know now, what's the one thing about the anglerfish you can't stop thinking about? And if you want us to keep untangling the world, subscribe.